Any questions? Any questions, let me know. We're working on some nutrition stuff today. You can hang out. Any questions? All right, here we go. What's up, everybody? Today we are going to talk about understanding food labels and the supplement industry. Now, I'm sure you've heard of supplements. Supplements can be in forms of protein powders, vitamin pills, could be taking B12 or fish oil. You've heard of those types of supplements before. So what do personal trainers need to know about food labels and the supplement industry? So your learning goals today, you're going to identify why people have problems choosing healthy dietary sources. Well, one problem is we've kind of come accustomed to what we eat, right? We get used to it. We don't want to get out of our routine. Like, for instance, I have a total routine that I do it every single day, basically, and I don't want to really move out of that unless something really forces me. So why do people have those problems? Properly interpret food labels, interpret food labels and know what info is required on the nutrition facts panel. So you need to know there are certain requirements that have to be on food labels, so you can't purchase foods without certain labels. And I know I've seen some companies not put anything on that, so maybe we'll get into that today. Recognize common food descriptor terms, talk about that. Understand the difference between a supplement and an ergogenic aid. Identify common categories of ergogenic aid. Let me just say, understand why the supplements are here. Beware of buying, what you're about to buy, because supplements can come in shady forms. We're going to talk about that today. Identify how NSF certified supplements reduce the risk for purchasing an unhealthy or even dangerous product. So make sure that your products are NSF approved before you buy them, and be able to recognize red flag advertising tactics and buzzwords. So like, high fat, low fat, high burn, high fat burn, whatever they want to say, like buzzwords that get you kind of like, oh, I'm going to burn a lot of fat. So contributors to poor dietary selections, overall nutrition education is poor. So many people don't know enough about enough about what vitamins are, or what nutrients are, what non-essential and what essential nutrients are. Understanding how many ounces, literally math, of water you need per day. What your caloric intake should be per day. That takes education. You don't just acquire those skills. People don't, talk about those things. Many do not know what nutrients are in foods. Many cannot read labels correctly. People don't even look at labels, right? You might notice, you probably don't realize you get 1,000 milligrams of sodium in a pizza, frozen pizza. You might not realize that you get a lot of protein in pizza. Retailers promote quick fix solutions. No regulatory body oversees what the media communicates to the public. So there's a lack of communication, and no one's really regulating these ergogenic aids. Understanding food labels. So a nutritional facts label is required on prepackaged foods sold in the United States. So It's required. Anything that's pre-packaged, okay? Anything that has been wrapped up. So obviously you're not going to see it on a piece of like a banana or an apple. You're not going to see it, right? Because it's grown. So it's required on packaged foods, okay? Pre-packaged, so it's been packaged and shipped and stored in a container or a plastic bottle or bag. Daily values, DV, is amount of nutrients in a serving size based on a 2,000 calorie diet. So a 2,000 calorie diet would be your kind of average diet for everybody, right? But not really, because some people are at about 3,000, some people are about 1,500. It depends on depends on so many factors: genetics, height, weight, age, stuff like that. Understanding how to interpret food labels allows one to manage nutritional health. So you can manage your health by calculating what you intake. And after you calculate that, so after you know how many carbs, fats, and proteins that are required, you can split that up into 5 or 6 meals, or you can split up into 3 big meals and then create three snacks. So you don't have to think of it as meals. You can think of snacks, you can think of desserts, as long as you're getting your carbs, fats, and proteins and the calorie count that you're aiming towards. So if I'm eating 3,000 calories and I'm burning 3,000 calories, I'm maintaining my weight. Now, if I want to gain weight, I'm going to have to eat 3,500 calories. If I want to lose weight, I'm going to have to eat 2,500 calories. But that doesn't mean I'm going to lose weight. There might be days where I don't calculate. There might be days where I eat a lot. There might be days where I'm stressed and I overeat. You might not think about it, but all of a sudden, you might have just maintained, or maybe you gained a little bit. So you have to kind of keep track. You got to pay attention to what you're eating, and you have to read food labels. Nutritional facts panel: serving per container, serving size. So these are the different types of facts you're going to see. Servings per container. So you might have like a cup of fruit. That might be just 1 serving. And then you might have some dip, and there might be 20 servings, right? Calories per serving. So, higher calories would be in oils and fats, butters, very caloric, fat-based, lipid-based foods are going to have more calories. And then you have your proteins and your carbohydrates, which are going to have less calories. So total fat, you want to know how much fat. So individuals should get about 30% of their daily caloric intake from fat. Some people can put that to 25% and then prescribed by a doctor maybe 20% or 15%, but you don't want to go underneath 25% because fat is vital for storing vitamins and protecting your organs. It's essential for many different things. Saturated fat, you want to get less than 10% of your total fat from saturated fat. So 10% of your overall diet, no more than 10%. And saturated fat increases your bad cholesterol and decreases your good cholesterol. Trans fat, really the worst fat. Not as bad as, trans fat is the worst fat. Saturated fat isn't as bad as trans fat. So trans fat is the worst. You do not want trans fat. That you don't want to have more than 1%. You don't want to even have any, basically, trans fat. Cholesterol, remember, is created in your body, and you need about 300 milligrams in your diet. We need about 1,000 milligrams per day, and 700 of that is made by your body. Sodium is important for electrolytes, sodium, magnesium, calcium, very good for, your muscles, especially during, performance. But you don't want too much sodium or you'll retain water. And you have total carbohydrates. You want to know how many grams of sugar are in the product itself. Like a banana is going to have, 20 grams, 25 grams of sugar, depending how big it is. And, let's just say you're having a banana smoothie that has added sugars. So there's total sugars, which would be 25 grams in the banana. And then in your smoothie, let's just say there's an extra 25 grams. So there's total carbohydrates should be 50 grams, right? Total sugars, added sugars, that type of thing. Protein. So you should see protein, and it'll say how many percent of your daily value it gets out of 2,000 calorie based diet. You have vitamin D. Vitamin D, obviously, you can get from the sun. Stored in fat, calcium, trigger for muscle response, and iron, which transports hemoglobin, and then potassium, which equals out your sodium. So if you want to lower your sodium, you have more potassium. And many people don't get enough potassium. How do you get potassium? You get it in your fruits and your vegetables. So bananas would be a perfect source of potassium. Okay, reading food labels. So how many calories from fat per serving? So if you look at the 8 servings per container, and there's total fat of 8 grams, then how many servings would give you 1 gram? Okay, so 1 gram of fat would be 1 serving, and if there's 8 servings and there's 8 grams of fat, then there'd be 1 gram per serving. Okay, so how many calories from added sugars per serving? Let's look here. So included added sugars, it looks like 10 added sugars here. If your total sugars was at 12 grams, total carbohydrate was at 37 grams, that's 13% of your daily value. Okay. What percent daily value for sodium if the whole container was consumed? So if we look at this particular product, it's got 160 milligrams of sodium, which is 7% of your daily value. 7 times 8 would be 56% if you had all of it. So how many calories from carbohydrate if 3 servings were consumed? So let's see, how many calories from carbohydrate? So there's 37 grams of carbohydrates in this product. If 3 servings were consumed, then we would multiply 37 times 3, right? Or no. 37 times 3, okay? Let me get my calculator out. So we have 37 times 3. And you get 111. It's 111 grams. So you multiply it by 4, it's 444 calories were consumed, okay? What percent daily value for fiber in 5 servings? So there's 4 grams of fiber in this food, and you want about 25 to 30 grams of fiber in your diet. And according to this product, it's 14% of the diet. So if they had 5 servings times 14, that's 70% of their daily value for fiber in 5 servings. So that's very, very high, right? So this would be a high fiber product. Serving sizes and portions. So understanding serving sizes versus portions is critical to eating healthy and consuming the right amount of calories. So you have to understand that serving sizes and portions were made so that you don't overeat, and you understand that each portion has a certain amount of calories. That means you can control the amount of intake based on how many serving sizes. So if you understand serving sizes, then you can understand caloric density, and then understand how many calories you're intaking based on serving sizes. So for grain products, 1 slice of bread or a half a cup of pasta or a half a cup of cereal, that would be a serving size. A vegetable group would be a half a cup of chopped vegetables and a cup of leafy vegetables. That would be 1 serving. And then fruit, you want 1 medium apple, a 3/4 cup of fruit, and 1 medium orange. That would be 1 serving size for a fruit. For dairy, 8-ounce cup of milk, 8-ounce glass of milk, 1 ounce of cheese, or a half a cup of yogurt. That would be 1 serving size. And then you have your meat and bean group, which would be 3 ounces of meat, or 1 egg, or a half a cup of nuts, or a half a cup of beans. That would be 1 serving size for meat and the bean group. And then there's fat, oils, and then use sparingly, less than 10% sugar and less than 10% saturated fat. So fats, oils, and sweets, you want to use sparingly, okay? Food descriptors. So there's free, light, reduced, and lean. Free basically means contains no or trivial amounts of the reference nutrient, less than 0.5 grams per serving. So really not very trace amounts of that, fat free. So less than 0.5 grams per serving has fat. So it could have a little. Light can describe color, texture, calories, or fat, sodium content. Could be, let's see, light, light syrup, right? You have your light syrup, which have lower calories or lower sugar. You have your Coca-Cola Light or Pepsi Light, that type of thing. Reduced, that contains less than 25% of the reference intake. So it means that if the reference intake is 100%, and then it would really have to be 75 or less to be reduced. Lean, less than 10 grams of fat. Remember, we only want 10 grams of saturated, or we only want 10% of our calories from saturated fat, and it's less than 4 to 5 grams of saturated fat, and it's less than 95 milligrams of cholesterol per 100 gram serving. So anything that's lean has to have less than 100 grams of cholesterol, less than 10 grams of fat, less than 4 to 5 grams of saturated fat. That's how you know it's lean. And a good source, and that means it contains 10 to 19% of your daily value. So it has to be at least 10% of the product. Okay, that would be a quote unquote good source. That's why it's not, quote unquote best source, but it's a food descriptor is just to give you a little extra background on the product, very, very simply and quickly. Dietary supplement and ergogenic aids. So you have supplements intend to complement the diet or thwart a deficiency. So like taking iron for iron deficiency, taking potassium, or taking B12, or taking vitamin D or fish oil. Those are common supplements. Protein powders. People that are vegetarian have to take B12. Ergogenic aid, purported to offer a mental or physical performance edge. So ergogenic aid, like could be something like Ginkgo, right? Or Ginkgo. What else is there? Trying to think off the top of my head. You have Ginkgo. You have stuff like caffeine, that type of thing. Supplement industry equals buyer beware. We talked about that. Not strictly regulated by the FDA. So FDA does not regulate, but NSF does to some proportion. So dietary supplements and ergogenic aids. You have muscle and strength gain. You have weight loss. You have anti-aging. You have improved energy. You have improved endurance, pro-hormones, sports performance, multivitamins, and herbs. So these are different types of dietary supplements and ergogenic aids. NSF certified supplements. So banned substance label claim review, contaminant review, and facility audits. So NSF certified supplements must undergo these types of filters, right? Banned substances screening. So screens for over 180 compounds on the World Anti-Doping Agency, NFL and MLB prohibited substance list. So if you want to play the NFL or MLB, you cannot be taking banned substance. Okay, so you have to make sure that's NSF certified. And that's one way to do that. Label claim review confirms the label matches the content. So whatever is inside of the product is on the label, nothing else. Contaminant review certifies formulation, checks for undeclared ingredients. We want to making sure that there's no fillers. And facility audits, manufacturing sites audits, on-site inspections to check for banned substances. So you want to make sure that the facility that the product's coming out of isn't, is passing safety codes, right? And health codes. Avoid sketchy advertising and cheap tricks, right? Testimonials. Oh, it worked for me. Well, that's one person out of 7 to 8 billion people. Come on. Independent research, or case studies, that type of thing. You don't want to look that narrow. Case studies are good. I mean, I can tell you a case study about myself, how I gained weight and how I did this, but that's how it worked for me, right? Free trials or just pay shipping, those types of things. If someone's going to, give you a free trial or, give you a free product, then they're really trying to just give you the product, right? They're really trying to kind of get you hooked they're trying to get you some type of quick fix, that type of thing, which is usually not going to work. Celebrity endorsements. If a celebrity endorses a product, that the product company is giving them a lot of money, and so they're making a lot of money, obviously. And that's what it's all about. It's all about making money. And that's why you want to avoid sketchy advertising and cheap tricks. Guarantee of quick results. There's no quick results. Just remember that. Tissue over time to architecturally change tissue takes a long time. Many inputs over many periods of time. It's not passive stretching. It's not meditation, right? You have to actually work yourself. The law of entropy states that you are always moving toward dysfunction. So it takes effort to move toward function. Secret ingredients or proprietary blends, like whatever that means, right? What does that mean? Proprietary blends. I've seen that before. And you feel good about that, but you have no idea what it is. So you're just kind of guessing. And a lot of people just get the placebo effect when they take a supplement. They take a supplement, they work out harder, and they're like, oh, supplement's working. Well, it's probably placebo. Most placebos work. Okay, so that's something to consider. Pharmaceutical packaging. If it's in a pharmaceutical package, that might be a little weird, right? I mean, why would a pharmacy be sending out non-prescriptive medications or aids, right? That's something you get through a doctor. So you wouldn't want to see any pharmaceutical package. That would be very, very, very off. All right, so that is going to do it for understanding food labels and the supplement industry. All right, everyone. Thanks a lot. Have a great day. Indio J59.